Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Minash. If you're loving what you're hearing on the show, go out and tell 2 friends today. Show them how easy it is to subscribe to the show. The Real Estate Espresso Podcast is available on more than 20 different platforms, and wherever you listen to your podcast, you're sure to find the show. Spread the love around. Why keep all this goodness to yourself? On today's show, we're talking about how to save money by unbundling. There's 2 ways to buy a service. You can pay an hourly rate or you can pay a fixed price. It's attractive for a buyer to pay a fixed price from a budgeting standpoint. If you're out there raising capital for a project, you need to know how much something's going to cost. You can't simply write a blank check and hope it's all going to work out the way you want. Well, some contracts are guaranteed maximum price contracts. In those contracts, you go through tremendous pains to make sure that the scope of work is fully understood, and you conduct a detailed review of the specifications. You've got to make absolutely sure that nothing is missed. In a fixed price contract, the price is fixed, and so too is the specification. If there's an error in the specs, you can expect to pay more to have it fixed. It's often the case that when items are packaged together in a fixed price contract, you end up with some of the things you want, and then there's a few things you're not that keen on. You might feel stuck because you're buying the services and products that maybe are not completely to your liking, in exchange for the certainty of a fixed price contract. And I've seen this happen many times when dealing with construction contracts. There are some times when a construction contract is priced too high. And that's particularly true when the contractor doesn't know how much time something is going to take. They tend to quote high to protect their margin. In those cases, it's in your best interest to pay for the work on an hourly basis instead of paying for a fixed price contract in a package. If you still want a guaranteed maximum price contract, then the solution might be to quote a time allowance for a particular line item in the contract. Any time over and above that allowance would be charged at an hourly rate. A simple case in point was a drywall plastering job that had 3 extra line items that were priced above the original scope of work. Each of the line items, when bid as a fixed price, came to $2,600 in extra work on top of the base contract. When I went on site and asked the person doing the work how much effort the extra work represented, he estimated it was about 8 hours of work. Now, there's no way I would spend $2,600 for only 8 hours of work. There's no way I would spend that much if I paid for the extra work on an hourly basis. In that case, I went back to the manager for the contractor and asked him to quote me an hourly rate for the extra work, and then I gave him blanket authorization for the extra hours. In the end, the extra work only cost me $800 instead of $2,600. This was all with the same contractor, and I don't feel like the contractor was trying to rip me off in any way. They were estimating the job the way I would expect contractors to estimate the job. We are often conditioned to think that fixed price contracts are the best way to go, and I'm here to tell you that's not always the case. Before you can realistically negotiate this with your contractors, you need the expertise in-house to estimate the work and figure out what it should really cost. Sometimes the local knowledge of the site conditions can give you an advantage over the estimator who's trying to do their work quickly and efficiently. Their goal is not always to get you the lowest price. Their goal is to get the job done, to keep their people busy, and to minimize the time lost to mobilizing staff on and off the job site. It starts with a knowledge of what it costs to get a finished product. I'll give you another simple example. I had a contractor quote me $10 a square foot to scrape the stipple, patch, and paint a ceiling. Now, it's a high ceiling, which requires bringing in scaffolding into the property. It's labor intensive, but here too it's a large area and the cost could be astronomically high. But brand new drywall would be much less expensive. Rather than scraping and replastering the existing drywall, how about just putting up brand new drywall on top of the old stuff? A 32 square foot sheet of drywall only costs $10. That's 31 cents a square foot in materials. And each sheet of drywall costs no more than $40 or $50 in labor to hang and plaster. So now you're talking about $2 a square foot instead of $10 a square foot. Let's say you add another $1 per square foot for paint. Now you're at $3 a square foot. That difference is huge. We're talking about savings of 70% to achieve the same result. These savings only come about if you have the in-house knowledge on how contracting works and how estimation is done. And as you think about that, if you don't have that expertise, go get a professional construction estimator on your team to help negotiate your construction contracts. Have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.